key value and document stored databases. So we'll see one or two of such databases, and I will also uh, give you the link to the resources at the end of the talk. So first of all, let's explore MongoDB. So MongoDB is actually like a very popular document-based database, and you can see the this is like now like whole platform, and MongoDB has got its own clouds where you can actually deploy your databases in their cloud. So and another interesting thing is all the NoSQL databases, this now they have support for integration with like majority of the programming languages. So you can actually use MongoDB in your C, C++, Java code, Python code. Like this is like available for majority of the NoSQL database. So that's why because of this integration, the adaptation also increases a lot. So to test MongoDB, you can see there are some there are large amount of products. So the best and some of them are not actually free. Some of them are actually you have to pay charges to them. So but there is a community edition, which is the community server. So you can actually download the community server. In community edition, you can do a lot of stuff. So this is for the those who are actually used non-Windows. So you can actually use and for Windows, you can simply download this file. You can actually set up the MongoDB database. So when you install MongoDB, you can see there will be a uh, compass. So when you install MongoDB, you can see there will be a application installed in MongoDB, which is known as MongoDB Compass, which is the actually UI. Let me change my here so that you can see the UI. So this is MongoDB Compass. So this is the actual MongoDB database tool UI for the MongoDB database. So here actually you can do those tasks. So here, for example, I can create. So this is my local MongoDB. This is a community server, so I can just connect. So it will connect to the MongoDB, and then you can actually use the UI. We will actually see how you can use the things in the command mode, because command lines things are important when we want to use MongoDB from a different programming language, then then the queries are important. But otherwise, for example, suppose I have a test2 database, then I have maybe I create a collection. So MongoDB, every documents that we store are known as a collection. So I can just create a collection. Let me just name my name of my collection is fruits. So I can create a collection, and then you can see. I think you can see the screen, right? You can see the MongoDB Compass. I think. Okay, yeah. So here you can actually you have the collections. You can add data. So add data. You can actually, which is very friendly now. You can actually add JSON data as well. So JSON is, I think, which is called JavaScript object representation, some kind of. So in using, I will also show you JSON data format. For example, I have one for you. In the screen, you can see this is a JSON data. So in JSON data, this is a very different kind of representation than what we have before with XML. XML is still used, but JSON or BSON, BSON is binary encoded JSON. So those two data formats are widely used. Also in like if you have knowledge about uh, front end, back end programming, whether where you transfer data through different APIs, JSON is like a de facto format now. So MongoDB actually supports JSON. So for example, here you can see here this is a, a entry where the entry is enclosed by two braces. So this is one entry, one record, or you can see for MongoDB, this is one document. One document has got three attributes: scope, size, and color. Right. So this is a JSON file, sample JSON file. You can have multiple JSON files. So for example, you can have another JSON file where you can write mango. You can write yellow. For example, you can write multiple JSON file like this. For example, this is one JSON file, and I can actually add this JSON file. So, and it will import the data, and you can see. So now that stored data is in my collection. So I can, in this way, I can actually add data to any collection here. So this is a actually UI. So you can do a lot of stuff in this UI, but let us focus more on the common part. So this is a common part which is known as Mongoose, which is the Mongoose shell or Mongoose command line. Here you can actually do a lot of stuff. So for example, if you start with if you want to create a database in Mongoose, you can just type use, for example, test. Let me give it a database test, and you move to test, and then you use you create a new collections. So to create a new collection, you just type
Hello? Hello?
hello.
Sir, it's Narayan, sir. Sir, actually, what is the major difference between SQL and MongoDB? Like SQL, MySQL versus MongoDB. What is what for which
My,
purpose we are going for this MongoDB?
MySQL and MongoDB. You mean no?
Yes, sir. What is the main focus on we are going for this, sir? MongoDB.
Oh no. So yeah. So first focus is MongoDB is one of the major NoSQL database, right? So today we are actually discussing two of such. So in this session, we will actually see two of such uh, databases. One is the key value data stored database as the name of the session, and one is the document database. So MongoDB is a document database, and so let's come to your question. First of all, if you compare MySQL and those uh, RDBMS with respect to NoSQL, why use NoSQL? We already covered that in the first presentation. But for MongoDB, MongoDB is actually a document database, so you can actually store any documents just using a key. Now, your next question can be, what is a document? If you see MySQL, in MySQL, suppose you have a table where you have a set of columns, you predefined columns, and then you can insert multiple rows into that columns, right? Yes. The person who asked me the question. Am I clear? No. is not here. Okay. So when we use MongoDB, then for MySQL or any other RDBMS, all those uh, tables are predefined with specific columns. And then when you create, so that's the first constraint. You need to design the table first, and then you can actually insert data. But in NoSQL, you don't need to do that. You don't have any like constraint that you need to have a schema or you need to have a table definition to insert data. You can just insert data on the fly. And for MongoDB, this document, you can think of the document is for relational database. If you consider a table for a specific row, there will be multiple columns. There will be value on multiple columns. But in MongoDB, you can think this whole thing as a document with multiple attributes. And in SQL, for each row, you need to specify the value for all the columns. Either they will have some data or it will be null. But in MongoDB, for that document, you don't need to specify data for all the columns because there are no such thing as columns. So some documents in a single table can have different attributes, X attribute. Some documents some other documents in the same table can have Y attribute. Some of them will be matched, but some of them will be totally different. So you don't need to think about those predefined schema at all. So that's why this type of database now are widely used. As I discussed at the end of my presentation, when you have those requirements where the database will be changing like very frequently, then this kind of database can give you all the support that actually need. Okay. Okay. So yeah. So let's. Any more question? Can you hear me? I think I am audible, right? No. Okay. So okay. So let's move on. So this is this is a database same as any other database like MySQL but the content is different. So the first thing is instead of table, the database contains some collections. So if I want to create a new collections, I just create collection db.create collection post. So now this MongoDB database test will have a collection named post. Collection is, you can think of a synonym as tables. So the database contains multiple tables in RDMS, but in MongoDB, this database can contain multiple collections, and each collection can have multiple data. So if I want to store some data here, now, for example, I want to store some data, so I can just write a code like this. This is a code for data. So this is the MongoDB syntax. DB post insert one, and if you can look carefully, this is a JSON format. The format just I showed it to you few minutes ago. Here I am inserting a post where the title is post title 1. The body is body of the post. This is just a dummy. The category is news. The number of likes is 1. The tags is both news and events. And the date is current date. So in this way, I can just create a row or a data in the database. So the thing is, you don't have to define any schema. You don't need to create anything. You just create a database. You create a collections and you just enter a data. And it is acknowledge true means, okay, I inserted the database And the ID that I generate is this, which is most of the times it's not needed by you, but it will be needed by the MongoDB database. So in this way, we can actually insert a document, but we can also insert multiple documents. So for example, yes, MongoDB can work on localhost. You can also install it on cloud. You can do it just like any other database. So the link I will share you the link. So if you download the file as I showed in the browser, it will just install the database locally. This is open source. The community edition is no. This is not open, totally open source, because MongoDB is one kind now is a kind of a giant database. It supports a lot of stuff, but still there is a community edition. So you can actually use the community edition for free use. So now just move on. Please like ask those questions in the chat. You need to, if you interact, it will be also helpful for me and for you as well. So here I can see I can use multiple documents using insert many. So here insert many, this is one document, and this is a different document. This is another document. And the thing is, for example, this document, you can specify the body can be like XYZ. No problem. So it won't check that the type post that I just inserted a few seconds ago has the XYZ in it. Doesn't matter. It will actually create 3 objects for you, and it will give you, okay, I acknowledge 3 objects are inserted. So in this way, you can actually insert multiple data either one by one using insert many, or one by one using insert one, or all together using insert many. Now I want to see all the data that I inserted, so I can just call db post.find. So db is the default for MongoDB. Post is the name of the collection that I created. Find is the method, and it shows me post title 1, post title 2, post title 3, and post title 4. So 4 database it will show me. And if I can say, instead of find, I say find one, so it will just give me the top one, which is post title 1. So in this way, you can actually find one or multiple. The next thing is, which is quite common, you want to actually search the data. Then so you don't always need to see all the data. So you need to search. So for example, I want to only see those posts where the category was news. So I can mention something like this: db post find, and in the parenthesis, I specify a JSON string. I want the category to be news. So if I enter, and you can see it only says post title 1, because the category of post title 1 was news, the category of post title 4 was event, the 3 was technology, 2 was event as well. So it only returns 1. But if I say, okay, just give me the category of anything which is technology, so it will return post title 2, and post title 3 is technology. However, event was 2. So if I say post ID find event, so it will actually return 1, 2, right? So this is kind of similar, the SQL command you use with some where clause. So this is just the standard function to do that. But at the same time, you can see here, when you run a query, it is always showing all the fields, but you want to only see maybe some specific fields. So when you want to include just want to show some specific fields, then you can share something like this. I want to find all of the posts, so there is no attributes, so empty. So no, MongoDB not has limited page size. It depends. So the maybe the community server has some limitations, like the uh, Oracle. Sometimes Oracle Express Edition. Have you, if you have experience with Oracle Express Edition, so those are maybe of limited size, but for MongoDB, it can handle a large data. So here, when you see, I want to see only the title and the date. Now, if I run, you can see it will return only the title and the date of all the posts, not only not the others. For example, you can also write something like this. I don't want to see the date. I don't want to see the date. I want to see everything else. So you can also write date equals 0. In that case, you can see everything is printed except the date. So here, with this, we can actually project which attribute I want to see or I want to hide. Then, so this is, we say insert, we see search. Now, how we can update? We want to, though the update will be less, but we want to update as well. For example, what we want to do, the post with the title, post title 1, I want to change the likes value to 2. So if you can see, every post has a likes value in it, and the post title 1's likes value is 1. So I want to update it to 2. So I can write a simple command like this. The command is update 1. So this is the function or method. Then I want to find only the post with title, post title, and then I want to set the likes value to 2. So if we execute this, it will be it will update the value to 2. So if you can want to see the value, you can see the post title 1, the like value is 2. So in this way, you can actually find something, and after finding, you can actually use the update method. So in the update method, the update function or method has got 2 parameters. In the first parameter, you will do the search, and in the second parameter, you will actually do the update. So in this way, you can update. There is another interesting feature. Suppose you want to search using a set of fields, and if that search is not present, so that data is not present, you want to update something, but that data is not present, but you want to then insert it to the database. This can also be done using simply for example, let me show you an example here to you. For example, what I am doing here, update 1, I set title, post title 5. In the previous example, I only set likes to 2, but for post title 5, I want to set a lot of things. I want to update a lot of things. So I will specify like this, like another document. I want to set title to post title 5, body to body of post, category to event, likes to 5, tags and date. So if suppose we don't have post title 5, and if I don't want to do this, I just want to do this, then what will happen? It will say no match, right? Because I'm coming to the upside. So if I just want to update a post and search with post title 5 and set a lot of values, but if the post title 5 is not present, so it will show me no match. So there is nothing to update, right? So if I say db.post.find, we'll see there is still 4. But using that flag, which is absurd, what we can do, if that value is not present, so absurd is kind of a synonym for insert during update. Insert if the update is not successful. So here you don't have post title 5, we don't have post title 5, but we want to set it. If not found, it will automatically insert to the database. So if we run this, so matched count is still 0, but absorted count is 1. So it's not found, but at the same time, it is inserted as a new value. So you can see there are 5 posts now. So in this way, you can actually do update. At the same time, you can also insert for failed updates. Then, for example, suppose how the likes work, right? For all the titles, you want to increment likes by 1 for all the titles. So you can also do that individually for each post. You can increment the likes, but using the clause update many, you can actually update likes or specific fields of all the posts. For example, here I use post update many. The first is empty, so it will include all the posts. Then I set likes is equal to 1, and I use a clause increment. So there are different type of clause here: increment, decrement, not equal, greater equal. So if I run this, that all like will be increased by 1. So here you can see match count is equal to 5, modified count is equal to 5. So with that query, with five matches or 5 posts, and I implement the like for all of them. So in this way, we can actually have update many in MongoDB. Then let's move to delete. How we can delete? So delete is quite simple. Just like insert 1, you can actually do delete 1. So here we can see db.post.delete 1, and I place a specify a clause or condition. So if we run, then post title 5 will be deleted. So post title 5 is not there anymore, right? So we have post title 4. So here, this way, we can delete data from, and we can also use delete many. For example, we can specify a clause like delete many, where suppose I want to remove all the posts where the category is technology, or let's use categories event, because event has got multiple entry. Then it will delete 2. So 2 is deleted. So now you can see we have only 2 posts left in our collection. Right? One is body title 3 and post title 1. So this way we can actually delete as well. So have a look. These are very easy, right? The syntax are quite similar to SQL, similar to SQL, because all are methods of MongoDB. So in this way, you can actually do all kind of stuff with MongoDB. And then another thing is, which is very powerful, I will just show you a glimpse. You can actually do some aggregation. So the thing that is missing, you can actually do some aggregation on that. For example, what I want to do, I want to find all the documents where that have more than 1 like. So how we can do that? I want to find all the documents that have likes more than 1. So how we can do that? We can write some commands like this: db.post.find, then we use. So here we want to use like greater than 1. So the clause will be like this. So like greater than 1. If you can see, so here likes, because I'm checking in MongoDB all those greater less you need to have to use that with these keywords. GT means greater than 1. So you can see I have a likes 3 for post title 1, likes 4 for post title 4, right? So 3 and 4. Now, okay, we delete a lot of stuff. We want to just let us insert some posts, because otherwise you will not see the effect of uh, the you will not see the effects of those aggregate queries. So let me insert all those uh, data with insert many, so that we have some data. Now we have got only 2 data after deleting most of the stuff. So just let me insert. Okay, now we have 3. So now we have fine. We have, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, 5. Okay, now insert db dot post dot find, then just the one that we use for to show you the aggregation. I want to see like greater than 1. I have 4 such things. 5 likes greater than 1. Okay. So what I want to do? So this is done, right? So I found all the posts that have likes greater than 1. What do I want to do? I want to group them into categories. Category means I want to group them into categories and find out the total likes each category. So category is event, category is technology. So this is similar the group by query that the RDMS has. So I want to find documents that have more than 1 like, and those that have more than 1 like, I want to group them by category and sum each category, sum and print the number of likes for each category. We can actually do this kind of search using the aggregate method. So using the aggregate method, let me show you in detail. So we can do db.post.aggregate. So aggregate got some stage. In the first stage, I want to match those posts where the likes is greater than 1. So this is like finding those posts where the likes is greater than 1. So after finding those, if I wrote a simple find command, it will return and show it to me. But I don't want to show the individual posts with their likes. What I want to do, I want to group them by category and want to see the total likes. So when I use group, this is the ID I want to group by. So here category means this category, which is a field or column or a property of these documents. And what I want to do, I want to sum the number of likes. So if I run this query, you can see it's very interesting. There are news with total likes of 3. The technology, the total likes is 7. The event total likes is 6. So you can actually do all kind of this stuff using MongoDB. And all this query you can actually execute from your preferred programming language. You can connect to MongoDB and you can do those kind of stuff. Right. So let me switch back to the website one again. I'll show you a bit more about MongoDB. This one. So there is another thing which is interesting. So if we can show you the resources, you can see there is a uh, developer center. The developer center, I think, you see that the thing that I want to point, using MongoDB, you can actually develop using Java, Python, C Sharp, JavaScript, and all languages. You can see. And you have all the tutorials and documentation as well as code examples how you can actually, because it's working on server. Okay, oh, so it has all the credentials. All the credentials are unique. You can set in MongoDB. So you can just not like that. You are just directly connect to MongoDB. No, it has got all its authentication mechanism inbuilt here. So the security is there. That's not an issue. For my case, I just install in my local host for demonstration to you. That's why I directly connect to my local host. But otherwise, when you are using server, or you can actually use username and password in your local machine. So that's not an issue. So the thing that I'm want to show to you, so you can see a lot of different language, whether you can actually code, and you can have code example, and you can also integrate MongoDB with all this stuff. You can integrate MongoDB with AWS, Azure, so everything. And MongoDB is now, that's why I told you at the beginning, it's kind of a giant. You can also use MongoDB in your uh, deploy MongoDB in cloud. So let me sign into my account to show you. I just created the account uh, today. So let me log into an account. Just let me log in to the account. I'll show you another features which is not available in the localhost version, or from the command line, or from the UI, which is only available in their cloud. So let me okay. Okay. This is their cloud. So that you can get your answer. Someone asked me a question in chat, how you provide security measure. So you can see at the beginning, enable your multi-factor authentication method. Right. So I don't have any method set, so it reminded me. So security is all the state of the art security measure is there. So now go to the MongoDB cloud. I will not deploy anything, but I will show you a very interesting features of MongoDB. Let's see, go to the chart. Go to the chart. I think you can see the screen, right? Okay, so see, we want to create a chart. So, create a chart. Chart. There are a lot of different databases or data sets available. So let me select movie. So movie, this I want to make. So these are different kind of chart. So let me show you a stack bar. So this is just live chart creation using MongoDB. In the y-axis, let me here, and in the x-axis, let me put the ID. And this you can see, this is the number of movies released between different times. Right? So if you can see the bin size to 5, you can see These are live, right? So you have the data, your data stored in a MongoDB, and you can just you're creating charts. This chart is showing the number of different movies released in these time zones. So 18, 19. So when you update the bin size, the chart will be updated. So if you have a bin size of 50, then you can see, but if you have a bin size of 5, then you can see the movies. So this is a stack bar. So a different kind of a different format of chart is available here. So when you have data, and you can also save the image. So you can save the image of the data. So this is interesting. So when you have this data, you can choose those charts, plots here, and you can simply export them. So all these kind of features is now built in MongoDB. So what you have to do, you just go to MongoDB site, you create an account, and you can, interestingly, you can also get their cloud deployment free, maybe with some less space. So that's why this is now a very popular database. I personally know of many such applications that were actually based on RDBMS are actually moved to MongoDB because of this like large support. Okay, so this is uh, one of the topic that I wanted to cover, which is a document database, and MongoDB is the most popular, like, is the most popular NoSQL database, and also definitely the most popular document database as well. So next, let me show you another database, which is let me close MongoDB and move to another. Another such. So I want to show you another database which is uh, important, at least also fall into the topic mentioned here in your session, which is key value stored database. So if you mention one of the very popular key value stored database is Redis, which is also very popular, and interestingly, this is also based on some some data available in the internet. This is the second most popular NoSQL database, and also happens to be a uh, key value stored data. So another interesting thing about Redis is one kind of in-memory database. If you have idea about in-memory database are those whether every content are actually stored in memory. No, I'm not showing any screen. I'll show you the screen a bit later. So every content is actually stored in memory. So you don't need to actually go to the disk. So this is, and Redis, if you have any of you have experience of development, Redis is used significantly for caching. So, and this is also a key value store NoSQL database, and very easy to use with very simple commands. But one of the, so for MongoDB, I show you the MongoDB website on Windows machine. MongoDB is available for both Windows, Linux, Mac, on everything. But Redis is a bit difficult to install in Windows. You need to have source Linux subsystem. So for MongoDB or Redis, I'll show you in a Linux machine. So Mm. I think you're saying Ubuntu server, I guess. I think just confirm me uh, in the chat. This is just a Ubuntu machine, vanilla Ubuntu. This is a bit old Ubuntu machine, but it will work. So if you install Redis, what you need to do, you just need to type. I think screen is visible now. You can need to type sudo apt get install. It's not visible, yes. Apt get install. Sudo. Let me increase the font. Install sudo get install. Maybe server will install, but I have already installed, so it is shown to me that already installed. Okay. And to go to Redis, you see Redis CLI, it will bring you Redis. You can just chat with it. It's a ping, it will say form. So this is a simple Redis database, which is a fundamentally a key value store database. So we can actually store key and value. So for example, we can write this. So when I set something to something, that means I'm setting the key 7 weeks to that value. And then if I get 7 weeks, it will give me the value. So this is the fundamental of any key value store. And the limit of this, so this is a string. If you consider a value of string, that string, if I am not wrong, can be 512 megabyte per string. So this is huge data you can store with the specific. So here you can get, but you can also set multiple key to a value using Redis. In that case, you need to type mset. So you set gog to google.com, yh to yahoo.com, and you can use mget. So it will give you 4. In this way, you can actually store multiple data. You can also use the like use the integers for different other tasks. For example, you can say count 1. You can say increment count. Then you can get count, so it will increment 2. You can say for example bat count to a. Then you to increment, it won't work. So it will give you, oh sorry, it will to increment that count. So it will give you an error because this is not an integer. So these checks are also there in Redis. There are some other methods as well. You can actually do transaction as well. So all the commands that we see are immediately executed and returned, but you can actually issue a specific set of commands. To do that, you need to specify multi. So multi means you are in a multi-instruction execution mode. In that way, you can actually, suppose I want to set this value Q. So interesting thing is it's not showing me, okay, it's in Q. So that means this value, this statement is stored, it's not executed. Then what I can do, I can increment the count, same Q. Then I can use exec. Then after execute, it will do all those. You can also roll back from here. So you can give the transaction and you can also do roll back. So this type of feature is also supported, like traditional RDMS is also supported in Redis. You can have hash dataset as well. That means here we can see we have a one key and one value, but you can have something like this. For example, let's show you a brief example. Here I am setting a user colon. So colon is not a standard, not a like syntax for Redis, but here this is actually used for your own like understanding. So I am actually dividing those key into parts. So I have a user loop name, I am setting loop, and the password I am setting secret. So this is a standard. So, okay. At the same time, I can use mget. Right? I can use mget user look name. I can use user look password. That's fine. But these are not different. This is just I break down those numbers for my own understanding with colons. That's not a part of its syntax. But instead of doing that, I can actually create a like a composite data type where I have all those. Repeat this one, the one that I'm just showing. Okay, here colon is not actually a part of. This is not a keyword. So like so colon is a valid character, and it separates. It actually separates your key into segments. It is just a what you can say. It's just a convention. Like it doesn't have any specific meaning in Redis. You just can have meaningful key names, and using colon, you can actually separate them in segments. That's it. This is all like logical separation to you, not provided by Redis. So here using multiple set, I use one key as look and I use one key as password. This, but what with Redis, you can actually introduce a complex data type where you don't need to specify those things separate. So how we can do that? It is done using the concept of hash. So here I can use a hash set method like this, where I can see HM set. I have a user key user loop, and that specific key's name I want loop and password I want secret. So now user loop is kind of a composite data type to it, where it has two attributes. One is name and one is password. And I have provided two different values to name and password. And then I can actually get all the values stored in that specific key. So if I can run this, I can get hval user luc. So I can get loop and secret. In this way, using Redis, I can actually create composite data types as well. So it doesn't only support default key and values, it also supports default composite data. So if you want to get only the password, so I don't want to get, so I will see age get and user loop, and I want password, you will get the password. If you want to get the name, you'll get name, but this will not work. So this is not like Redis syntax. So you have to specify the key. So here you specify age get. This is the key, and this is the specific attribute for this. So this is a composite kind of composite. So you get name, and with password, you will get the password. So this is in this way. You can also have with Redis. You can also have list. So, for example, I can use the Redis list using like this. So using R push, I'm using a key, Eric wish list, and I put three values. So I have 7W, GOG, and Prac, three websites. I made a list of Eric wish list, name Eric wish list. Then I can see all the values from that push list. So I can see list range. So I think I put uh, some values there before. That's why the thing. Okay, let's create a new. Suppose this is my wish. Then it will start. It will see all the things from the list. So the thing is, you have now a key that actually points to a list of values. So that can also be done using Redis. And you can also remove those values. For example, you can also remove using list remove from Redis. So you can use like this, remove GOG from my wiki. So it will remove. Now we can see only 7 wiki. So this all kind of support is there with very small, very easy syntax. And these key value stores, the length or the size of the values are so large, you can eventually can store like uh, uh, lots of data. So that's one of the, this concept is one of the core technology or concept that actually used by Amazon for their like storage service. In Amazon S3, you actually have this. You don't have a database there. Rather, you just have some keys, and with respect to keys, you can specify a lot of that. So during my presentation, I told you one such time that eventually, if you go deep into those NoSQL databases, all of the database will eventually will look to you like all are key values. And for some cases, these are true. But the support, they are provide different support. That's why they are different kind of database. So that's for, I think, it will do for Redis. That's for a quick introduction. So next, okay, so that's one key value store database, which is Redis, and one document database, which is MongoDB. Oh, LRAN actually removes LRAN. Yeah, you can using LRAN, you can remove a value from a list pointed by a specific key in Redis. So now I think okay, that's what I want. That's all what I wanted to cover. But just let me show you some other stuff as well. I will give you one link of a drive link where you can get some relevant slides and some relevant documents. Whether that document will be more helpful to you for more experiments. And there is a uh, like I like the book a lot. There is a book called 7 Databases in 7 Weeks. You can also have a look at that, which is a very interesting. To just share two books. One is this one, the 7 Databases in 7 Weeks. Now this is the second edition of this book. So this is a very good book to learn hands-on, and not possible to cover in definitely 1.5 hours. So it covers PostgreSQL, HBase, MongoDB, CouchDB, Neo4j, DynamoDB. I think you heard, all of you should heard this name at least after today's presentation: HBase, MongoDB, CouchDB. Neo4j, DynamoDB, Redis. We have everything. Also, it calls about the CAP theorem. And another uh, that, which is uh, very, you know, is a very good reference for the, the understand the generation of NoSQL data. This is next generation databases, NoSQL, NewSQL, and big data. So this is another a very good references to understand in details what things happen. Because if you see the book, I like the things about the book. It mentions three database revolutions. It started with, if you can see, to just show you, we have some time, I think. This is the first database when you just some cards, you just store those things. This is called the first revolution. The second database revolution is when you have these uh, RDMS and those stuff. And then the third revolution is actually what he's saying, the NoSQL or NewSQL or the big data. So this is another interesting book to learn a bit detail about uh, NoSQL and this stuff. And one thing that I will share the link. Let's just share the link to one that's in the chat. That will be helpful. Sure. So you can see the documents here. Last 2 months. State of the art. This is another very interesting website, which is called dbengines.com. You can see all the rankings of data. So here you can actually see a different kind of database. We actually cover key value store, document store, column store, the white column store is the same. Graph database. There are some other different data set as well. So if you do the ranking, you can see these are all top four are all the state of the art relational database. Then we have got MongoDB. Then we have got Redis. The two we covered. So these are important. So we cover something important. I'm not sure, but maybe definitely you will find MongoDB and Python. I think is a nice combination now. So then you have got all those different Cassandra, MariaDB, Amazon DynamoDB. So these are all, you can see the number of database the number of databases there. It's like 398. Some of them are not maybe just data store. So there are different uh, database here. Yeah. I will also give it to you some. So for tutorial, if you want to learn tutorial for MongoDB or anything, just search tutorial. You will find these are some very good tutorials. One is W3 School, which is like for Redis. I don't know the tutorial, but say tutorials point for MongoDB tutorial. Those are or W3 School's tutorial are very good, and some of the tutorials go very deep, so you will have clear understanding. So the thing is, so there are lots of NoSQL database. So if you just go to the key value store, you can see lots of key value store. And definitely you will see some repetition. Key value store, they will be in document store or column store as well. So lots of NoSQL database are there. So it's better, I think it's better if you want to use any NoSQL database. I think just as I said in the slide, first of all, if you already set your application with any RDMS, just try to find out what are the problem you're having. Then just have a survey of what are the alternatives is NoSQL database are there that serve your purpose, and then maybe choose one or three top ones from that, and I think it will like serve your purpose. Okay, so that's from my side. If you have any question, then you can just feel free to ask me. Otherwise, I think I'm done. Okay, then thank you. Thank you for your time and your patient hearing.